started on the doing this procedural generation stuff. So the big thing right now, fuck, oh shit, the big the big thing right now is every time a point has chosen a tile, I already started doing this stuff where it'll collapse everything else and just keep the room that it's associated to. And then we add it to a collapsed tiles array so that we can read from it whenever we want to. We now need to make it so it will check its neighboring tiles and then remove any pieces that are not not necessary. I thought you decided against the procedure generator universe. Oh, it's just one car. It would literally just be one type of car. But I think doing this little test here, showed me that I think the feeling of not 100% knowing the pathway in a car, I think is great and should break things up for some of the cars when we generate them. You know, Bob, what are you doing? We're doing some procedural generation stuff. Yeah, so just this, and then of course we can reuse this code for the stranded like dungeon. When the players are stranded in a tunnel and they have the choice to go into a dungeon to like gather more shit, then they can do that. So yeah. Procedural? Yeah, we going deep in the procedural. Someone posted something on Twitter which was like, procedural makes things feel bland. In our case, I think it's okay. Because at the end of the day, the big thing that we want with this procedural generation is you not knowing what you're walking into, right? It's the unknown, which I think is the great tool here. Not necessarily keep everything fresh 24/7. It's more so like you walk into a room and you don't know what you're gonna like kind of run into. That's the biggest point with this, more so than, because if we don't have this, then we have the other cars, and those are all the same thing 24/7 all the time. And I think from a developer standpoint, me playtesting it got boring. It got boring. I think it lost that element of suspense, like knowing what's going to be around the corner or how the level's going to be structured and knowing where you have to go and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I think it lost that one element that I think is pretty important for this type of game. So that's why we're doing this. But so any of the pieces that are not part of the path need to be collapsed. That's the next piece of the puzzle. Did it feel more like muscle memory than playing a game? Not really muscle memory. It's just I knew where to go all the time. And that's not like 100% bad, but it did lose that one big emotion, which is like that suspense feeling of like not knowing what's around the corner. I think that's probably why like games like Lethal Company and Repo and all these other games kind of do so well, is like you enter a room and you kind of don't really know what you're walking into. But that being said, Repo is kind of just more a means to an end, whereas Lethal Company, I feel like the pathways do help a lot with like getting lost and whatnot. Would you make the half procedural generation approach where you create handmade set pieces that are arranged randomly? That's basically what we're doing here. So these are all going to be level instances. That'll have like stuff in them, and then each piece will probably just be structured a little differently and hand done. So there'll be like a lot of hand done stuff in here as well. It's gonna be interesting to figure out how this is gonna work. Yeah, gonna be very interesting. Yeah. And then there's a thing I saw in here in Unreal called layers. You can add like level layers. I don't know how this works, but apparently you can use this for like creating variety and stuff. Yeah. Same can be said for procedure. The only thing it usually offers is the layout changing. Right. In this case, though, I think a big element is the layout changing. Now, that being said, it's just a 2x5, so it's not like a huge thing, but I think it'll help quite a bit. I think what would be good is also finding out some way of creating variants for the other cars as well. I think would be really good. Some way to create variants or even move certain maintenance tasks around a little bit would probably be really beneficial. Yeah. Yeah. But to be fair, one of the big reasons why I wanted to do this was just to kind of dive into it and learn it a little bit. So kind of a waste of time, but at the same time, I learned a lot from it. So something I wanted to learn for the longest time and just never found a good situation to use it in. Or I just was always scared of the subject. Even just horizontally flipping the cards would be a good first step. We do horizontally flip them, but even then it's like not enough. But we do, 100%. We do horizontally flip them. Library might not be too bad. Different shelf layouts. Yeah, I think so. Putting like little dead ends and stuff would be great and whatnot. I think we could probably do a bunch of stuff there. The only problem is how do I create the variants? Are they just entirely different levels? And then maybe I change our level selection system. So it's like if it selects library, it selects from a list of different kind of library levels. I guess that would be the easiest thing, is just creating different levels, just entirely different levels in our levels folder. I don't know. The layers thing is interesting. I don't know how or if it would even replicate properly. Yeah, I'd have to see. And does that layer system work on a level instance is another good question. I don't know. But yeah, I definitely would definitely want to make it so like the library can have different shelf layouts. I think that'd be great. Told me to do mini PCG graphs, that way you can control some things instead of the PCG graph creating the whole path in one. I think I definitely would want to put PCG in the future for sure. Like laying out random books around and stuff, like even just like tiny details that I think would just break it up a little bit, I think would be great. But yeah, doing this procedural stuff has been very interesting. I'm learning a lot. I think the design of this is not great. Like thinking about it, like we're doing entire tiles when we probably could have just done like a bunch of floor pieces and then set up walls with doorways, and they would have just been double-sided walls, because then all we would have had to do is just do the walls and whatnot, and then that way we could have had some empty areas. Definitely could have done that. It is what it is. It is what it is, but that's all right. We learned from it, so that's okay. Because now a big challenge is going to be, okay, how do we introduce tiles that are not just one tile, but two? Well, that's a great question. We don't. Yet. Until I redo some of this shit. Which could be fun. Anyways, let's do the final step of what we need to do, which is once it starts generating the tiles, it needs to collapse nearby neighbors. We've done it before, right here. Um, um, okay, I'm going to rename this. In the beginning, this was just going to get the index neighbors. I think this is going to collapse neighbor prototypes. And this will just be a lot easier for me. So we're just going to do this. We still have the index, which is good. So if we do a minus of span x, let me open up my PureRef. PureRef has been kind of nice here because I just literally have a breakdown of the indices. You got a moon. What's the procedural generation type? It's kind of wave function collapse, but also kind of not. Like, I don't really know. I just kind of did what I thought would work for my brain. I think we should turn this into a function. Andre. Okay, yeah, I'm going to collapse this into a function. I think this is a good idea. Oh, wait, we gotta change this though. Because we don't want x positive to equal x positive. We want it to we want it to equal x negative. Which I think is below here. Yeah, but that's just one direction. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy paste this. Filter prototype directions. So this will be index to filter, and this will be rules. Nice. And then what we have to do is x positive will actually be x negative. We're going to check against that. X negative will be x positive. The reason, so basically what I'm doing is it's going to check any of the neighboring tiles. And what we're going to do is it's going to say, hey, because how it works is this is y, I think, and this is x. Y positive, x positive. So basically, if this would be y negative because it's on the left side here, right? This tile, though, would read this as y plus. So basically, we're just getting the opposite. Think of them like magnets, basically. And then we're gonna filter out the doorways. And I think that's what we're essentially gonna do. So x positive, x negative should be x positive. Then we have y positive, y negative, and then y positive. Yeah. I believe I did that correctly. Did I? Is that true for every tile? I think so. I think so. Monk? Did I go to school for game development? No. No, I did not. I went to high school, and then I finished that. And then I said, fuck this shit, I'm not doing this ever again. I ain't doing this shit again. Mm-mm. So, okay, this is, I'm doing this in a very, like, this, I know this is not the cleanest way of doing this. There's probably a way better way of doing this, but I can't wrap my head around, like, filtering all of these pieces in a better way. So I'm going to kind of manually specify the rules. Is the game ready for 1.0, or is it delayed till tomorrow? No. No 1.0. I'm noob. Game dev is noob. I need the self-taught path you took. I spent 13 to 14 years before releasing anything. Or 12 years, whatever it was. And then spend 5 years on an early access game. And then get lucky. But like realistically, I learned graphic design first. That was pre-game development. I was also doing Blender. Then going into it, I was doing a lot of Blender, high poly to low poly bakes. Started doing a little bit of blueprinting, struggling, just kind of figuring things out. Big gateway into programming was doing UI because I had the graphic design experience. So I made like different UI elements, and then I tried to attach functionality to the UI. So things like inventory, health bar, so anything that I could attach to the UI, I tried to do the programming using UI as like the base point. And that helped me kind of get a bunch of stuff going because it was very like visual. Probably made an inventory system, I think like 4 or 5 times before it was like 80% bug free, but still had bugs. So I learned a lot from that. And then I started doing more stuff. Started doing animation, a little bit of animation stuff, like animation system stuff. Yeah, this is a long journey of shit and whatnot. Discouraging but honest? Well, it's just my reality, right? But you have people like Sovereign who I think did it for 3 or 4 years and then went straight into C++, and now he's God. So, like, everyone's going to have a different pathway. Everyone's going to have a different pathway. Who is God? Sovereign. Programming God. You've heard of coding Jesus. Have you heard of programming God? Wait, a bunch of games went on wish list. Is there like a sale going on Steam? The Cyberpunk Fest. Wow, first Train Fest and now Cyberpunk Fest? What's Steam trying to tell me? What is Steam trying to tell me, man? What are they trying to tell me? What are they trying to tell me? Jazz. Okay, so we're gonna check the piece that's above us. Clearly have some unfinished business. Real. So this will be the index to filter. And then if it equals 1, it needs to equal 1. If it's 0, it needs to equal 0. Okay. Wait. I guess the new Steam playbook is just constantly have a main page fest. You got to give it to him, dude. Steam single-handedly, uh, they single-handedly brought back demos and stuff. Like, Steam just knows what they're doing, man. You got to give it to them. Grim, guess what? What? Any tips on not getting burnt out on a project? I can't. I think that's going to be like a very personal thing for you. I don't think there's any like necessarily tips I can give you. Have a good like work-life balance. Just because you're on a roll doesn't mean that you should, you know, just because you're on a roll doesn't mean you should 100% generation selected room. I guess we could just get the prototype. I could technically just do the generation selected room. Random gen tile data. Yeah, you know, don't overwork even if you feel good about it. Also, internalize and figure out what it is that's causing you to burn out at a stage. Is it something new that you have to learn that's causing a lot of friction? Another thing to look at. Whenever you get to a certain point, just think back to all the other projects that you might have bounced off on or whatever. Is it at a certain point where you have to start doing something? Hold on, I gotta read chat. What am I? You have a baby? Oh my god. Congrats. I was gonna send you a picture, but then I forgot I don't have you on Discord. You spawned a child? Congrats, Jazz. Are you excited? Why is Jazz developing AI faster than you? What are you saying? Shut up. What are you saying, man? Have you on Instagram? I literally don't go on Instagram anymore. Next, I got to cut out YouTube Shorts and YouTube. Yeah, I don't go on Instagram. Yeah, congrats, Jazz. You said it was unplanned. Is it like unplanned as in like... Anyways, I won't ask any questions. I hope everything is good though. Boycott YouTube? Yeah, YouTube is just, dude, the shorts are disgusting. Like just seeing how much AI there is and how much like stolen content there is. It's actually insane. It just makes me disgusted whenever I scroll through that shit. And I can tell it's trying to like keep me hooked in. So checking if something is to the right, we have to do index +1, and then we have to check. Oh wait, shit, but if we do +1 and it's on the edge. I think we have that somewhere. Check your IG message, dude. I don't even think I'm logged in to Instagram. You're gonna make me actually log in. Okay, hold on. Let's see. I'm not even logged in. Okay, I'll have to check later. Because And I'm logged on my computer. Hold on. Oh my god! Oh, that's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna be real, Jazz. My brain was either flip-flopping between you already had the baby or you're currently in pregnant or whatever. But you already had that motherfucker's already out. Dude, I'm scared for having a kid. I'm terrified. But it will probably happen one day. I'm gonna be terrified. You know, Delta? So scared. Terrified. You're gonna have to fill me in a year. You look like Dora the Explorer. Well, that's the show you're gonna have to show the kid then. Almost a week old? How's your sleep? Terrified of the responsibility or the world? I think just everything, man. Everything associated with having a kid. Just making sure that you don't snap their neck when carrying them, or like they get hurt, or, you know, or they get exposed to like the fucked up dark elements of Earth, or, you know what I mean? Like just literally everything. Having to change its diaper and ugh. It peeing in your face accidentally. It's probably like the least of my worries, but still, it's still there. It's on the list. It's just on the bottom of the list, but it's still on the list. Having to buy food, diapers, all this stuff. I'm sure it's still, though, a very rewarding and satisfying process, but yeah, for me, it's just terrifying. Yeah, I hope it goes well, Jazz. That's crazy. How's the situation there in the US? I wouldn't know. I'm in Canada. They're very. How's the situation in northern US? I'm not even north. All of Canada is, for the most part, in southern Canada, along the border. Enjoy some Polish on the chat thanks to Twitch. Dude, how is Polish making something so... How is it so long? That's insane. Thank you, Alex. Dude, you said you were from Michigan. Yeah. Michigan, yeah. Exactly, yeah, Michigan. Yeah, Michigan. That's where I am. Yeah, Michigan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. A couple tornadoes here and there. It's also hot. Everyone thought I was joking? Wait, like... Everyone thought you were joking, that you had like a kid? Why would they think you were joking? Wait, who's from Michigan? You is crazy. You is crazy. So wait, hold on. I got way too ahead of myself and started doing the next thing. We got to do the selected room. And then we got to check, because this is up and up equals y negative. We got to put... Yeah, this is right. How's the situation on Earth? I think Earth is doing pretty bad right now. I wonder how geographically spread all your viewers are. I think it's probably like, I want to say like 40% US and then everywhere else, which is weird. I think there's a lot of EU viewers. EU.
Shit my pants, I did.
Yeah, think of the Prime. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Happy affiliate anniversary. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we can easily check the top and bottom. Left and right is going to be a bit of a weird one. Here's the reason why. What happens if you try to check the right, but you're on the edge of the map? That's the problem. Or if you check the left and you're on the edge, or the right, sorry. So we have to make sure that there's actually a tile to the right. I totally wrote that message. It's not automated. Are you sure? Oh yeah, are you sure about that? I think we put a check if there's something to the right somewhere in here. Where is the thing that checks if something is to the right? Where do we check that something is to the right? I swear we do that somewhere. I don't know where. Oh, in the boundary check. Filter tile bounds. Yeah. Oh shit. Oh, yikes. I think this checks if you're on the left. And I think this checks if you're on the right. +1. Remainder equals 0. This checks if you're on the right. Yeah. Holy, nervous system blueprint is expanding. You're damn right. You're damn right. So first we want to check if you're even on the, if you're not. UE4 solid now, feels good to work on it. UE5 hasn't been too bad. Definitely not like as fast as UE4 felt, but considering the amount of additions that there are in UE5, you know. But UE4 is good too. I do kind of miss some of the stuff. Like when I work in UE4 for Superhire, I do kind of miss some of the nice stuff that UE5 has from time to time. It has some cool stuff. You're the reason Epic is canceling blueprints in UE6? What do you mean by that? Explain yourself. Explain. So we need to check that this is not on the right edge. As long as it's not on the right edge, then that means that there is going to be something to the right. So we just want to do +1 on the index. And that will mean that this is the right side. And then if we're checking something's on the right, we need to check against X positive. You scammed their mega grant, so they're getting payback? No! Your New York subway system map right here? Dude, show me a procedural generation system. Like, sure, I guess I could collapse a bunch of this shit into functions. Who gives a fuck? I'm only using these things once. Do you see that repeating in other places? No. I'm not that bad. I'd argue my stuff isn't that bad. Okay, so now going down is pretty easy. We just do something very similar to this. This is going to be going down, but instead we do a plus on the span X. And then we just make sure that this is less than span X multiplied by span Y. In this case, we'd have index value 9 as the max, but it would be checking against 10. If you're at 5, we check that the index and span X. Yep, I think I did that right. And we'd be checking against the Y positive here because we're moving downward. Okay, next up, God, this is a really stupid way to do. I know this is really stupid. Yeah, making fun of stuff isn't just about reusability. Yeah, but like from a readability standpoint, I think I prefer, like, I guess it would be better to collapse this into a pure function. And it would still be quite readable because then we can at least like collapse it into one thing. I guess we could do that. So let's just, sure, let's do it. Should backtrack. And then this one, we can put this into a category of pathfinding. Hey, Tobias. And then this one checks if we should go up or down. Or left or right. Should try, I don't even know how to word this. Should try vertical move. There, you guys happier now? You guys happy now? Are you guys happy now? Are you satisfied? Are you satisfied? My problem is that they're expecting designers and artists to be using and understanding easily. When I asked somebody at Epic about, they said reads or computes. When I asked which is appropriate, he said computes. If you don't need to read the heap, reads otherwise. When I asked about the artists and designers' intention, he said yes, it's better if they understood it, otherwise there will be bugs. Makes something more convoluted for designers, expecting them to read. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, good. Yeah, that'll end well. That'll end well. Give in, learn how to... Oh, shut up. Open claw, my balls. The only open claw I know is a... what's that drink called? What's the drink called that a bunch of people that don't want to drink alcohol drink? Or like, it actually has like a really small amount of alcohol, but it doesn't taste like anything? Oh, something claw. The only claw I'm gonna have is a... I forget what it's called. I've never drank them before. I've never tried them before. A white claw. I knew it was a color. I was like, in my brain, I was like, is it blue claw? Is it... What is it? What was it? Is the move to Verse meant to sell AI so designer can avoid coding? I don't know, man. If it's more complicated, you can onboard them and onto AI tools. You guys are using that word a lot. You guys are using that word a lot, eh? So going to the left, we have the code for that somewhere. It's this. I don't know if we need this or statement, but we'll just have it there anyways. Dude, I don't know how Pirate Software got into the situation where people are like ragging on his programming. You just got to say, I don't really know what I'm doing. It's that easy, man. It's that easy. I don't need to claim any sort of ego. I don't give a fuck. I don't know what I'm doing, but at least I'm doing. You know what I mean? That's a lot more than a lot of people these days. At least I'm doing. Doing is better than not doing, and doing bad is better than not doing. So I do bad. It's okay. I just do better. To do or not to do, there is no bad. Exactly. Do. Wait, what's the Yoda line again? Do or do not, there is no try. I think that's what he says. I don't know what that means, though. I really don't know. Yoda, you were spitting, but I have no fucking idea what you were saying. Let me tell you, I had no idea what the fuck you were saying. I could have done this differently, but whatever. Okay, so now we need to filter a position. If we are checking to the left, we take the index and just minus it by 1. And that is, in theory, okay, minus it by int point. I really hate that. So I'm actually going to hit the favorite button on int minus int. And hopefully, yep, thank you. I don't know. I'm pretty sure this changed during UE5 because in UE4 it worked perfectly fine. Yoda's pitching, but you weren't catching. Brother, listen, that ball was going 150 miles an hour. There was no catching that. There was no catching that motherfucker. Okay, so if we are going to the left, checking the left tile, we want to check X negative. Okay, and then here we end the entire execution with a return node. So, let's see if this works, or if literally our entire tile is going to break. Also, really important, we don't want to collapse anything in the neighbor if it's wait, we need to check the neighbor, not the index. Oh my god. Okay. I don't think it'll matter. I know the code looks, I know the code stinks, okay? It's whatever, man. I don't care anymore. As long as it's readable, I'm fine. He means be more affirmative and do something or do nothing, but trying doesn't lead to results. Damn, that quote actually kind of fucking sucks when you think about it. I guess by trying and not following through, you end up going nowhere. So at least try to go somewhere. Is that what he's trying to say? Listen, ride the bicycle. Don't try to ride the bicycle. Just get in that fucker and ride the bicycle. Fuck it, we ball. Sorry, we ride, not ball. It's a different sport. We spin. We pedal. Pedal to the metal. The goal is to produce a result rather than be indecisive. That's exactly what I'm doing. Yes, dude. Yes, man. Yes, dude. That's exactly what I'm doing. So that was the correct quote. I understood the quote. I think it's about we use trying as an excuse when we're actually doing. I could see that. I could see that. That's some shit that what's the master from Karate Kid? What's his name again? Master Roshi. No, that's a different guy. What's his name? What was his name? Miyagi. Yes, dude. Yes. That's some shit he'd say. 100%. No, you're right. It's Goku. Goku! All right. This is it. Now we just got to put this thing in the while we generate, we collapse the neighbor tiles. This is going to work. This is going to work. This is going to work. So we collapse the neighbor tiles. We use the generation selected room. Okay. And then we could use the last index for this value as the tile. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Moment of truth. Are we going to have... So it needs to be proper. All of the doorways need to be connected at this point because that's what we've planned. That's what we did. Okay, they're connected. However, there is no connection at all to what... okay, this one worked. Look, 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 look. It worked. Okay, this one worked. This one's working. It's working. Okay, randomized seed. Let's see a different pathway, not straight. Okay. That has a dead end. Okay. This one has a little corner piece that goes into it. All right. I'm not seeing any empty tiles, which technically we should be seeing some empty tiles. There should be some like impossible routes. Sometimes. Oh, here we have a dead end going into a dead end. Okay, good. Okay, maybe we need to... maybe, perhaps problematic, maybe. It's the back rooms, it's fine. All right, yeah, sure. All right. I don't think it's ever going to return an empty slot, and here's why. Because it's choosing the lowest entropy at all times, I think it's always going to have a solution for every single tile. Which is kind of fucking crazy. See, look at this one. There's a little side pathway that goes through a corridor that then goes into a dead end. Cinema. Oh my god. Well, it works. Sort of. There is the little slight moments where, like this. Okay. Literally, it's just a tiny ass tight corridor, and then there's a fucking side path that's completely not connected. That's fucking funny, dude. It didn't even, it selected tight corridor. All right, that's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. Uh, shit. What if you don't fix that, but instead check for it, and if it exists, put some creep sound effects in there or something? My only problem is like, what if we accidentally select one of these tiles as a maintenance task, and like to have like something spawned inside of it, like of like you know anything. It is inaccessible to the players. So that becomes the problem. Um, I think one solution would be. See, this is a cool one. This is a really cool one. We have this one going into a dead end here, but then we have a tight corridor going into here, then going to here, and then there's a side pathway to go into this area to wrap around. So I think we would have to check against this to see if a path is inaccessible. Dude, I don't even know how I would check if that happens. How would I check if that even happens? Or like how would I solve that to like not keep those pieces there? What do I even do? Hey, peace out, Alec. Have a good one. There's already algorithms that can do it. Could probably use one of those if lazy. Do we use pathfinding? Do you guys think that's stupid? No, it's probably stupid using pathfinding. There's probably an easier way where I could just read the doorways and see if any of them connects to it. See, again, here we have the exact same issue. A dead end connected to a dead end. Could track accessible rooms after generation. Um, I just don't know how to keep track of that. I don't know how to keep track of that. So here's happening again. We have a dead end connected all the way to a dead end. You could use A-star pathfind, but don't use an avmesh thing. You'd have to write it yourself, but you'd have to have a success point path at some point. But is that? I feel like that's kind of overkill. Is that not overkill? Node, get accessible neighbors, repeat for neighbors. If any node doesn't have neighbors or isn't in the list, it's borked. Yeah, I guess what we could do is start from the very beginning, do what we've been doing, which is checking for neighbors, and then add it to an array of like valid ones. And then anything that's not in that array, I guess, is invalid. So go ahead and just don't generate those. Again, it happened again. Oh, this is a cool one. Tight corridor leading into a T room. Tight corridor again, little piece. This is sick. I think there's so much potential for this to do some cool stuff. So we have two challenges ahead of us now. Separate pathways that are completely inaccessible. And then the other challenge is how do we introduce large tiles? Tiles that are more than just a 1x1. always place big tiles first. That was an idea that I thought of at one point, was we generate the big tiles first. But then the big tile cannot be in the way of the Pathfinder, or the Pathfinder needs to know about the big tiles first. Make this into a 10 by 10 size room. I can copy this, and then 10 by 10. Let's see what happens. So the pathway I know works for sure. By the way, I think I'm getting some little bit of hitching, actually. We did get a lag spike. See, it spawns everything, but that doesn't mean they're accessible. Can't you divide the big tiles into singular tiles and make it so it forces a specific tile to generate? Yes. My problem is I'm stupid. And what I should have done, these pieces are, the floor isn't on the grid, so I'd have to make a completely separate like grid system, which is fine. I think we could do that. It's no problem. And then in our selected rooms, we'd have to do like it would be it'd be 0 T for tileable, 0 T. But then we'd have to create a whole new tile set for that, which is okay. I think we could do that. Like that could be one way of doing it. Is it'll generate the big tiles at like as its own like tile set of pieces that it could select from. Are we fixing something that doesn't need fixing? No, it definitely needs fixing, because if we were to randomly choose, the line is doing some weird shit here. Oh, the constraint isn't in the right spot. If we have a 10 by 10, let's set the tile index to 9 would be the edge. Let's do 18. Actually, if you do 9, no, wait, no. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, I think it would be 19. Yeah, 19. Yeah, the big problem is inaccessible areas. My virtual texturing implementation, tile, yeah, there's so many terminologies that I think I misused while working on this. Like I've seen terms like prototype. I've seen entropy is one where I think I understood the term, like what it meant, and I used it correctly. But then all of the other, like there's so many weird terminologies in here that are used. Definitely something I would improve for a future implementation, using like better consistent terminologies. So we have 2 challenges now. Let's write this down in Notepad 2. Need to do some kind of room by room search to determine if a tile is accessible from the path or not. Otherwise, remove all potential rooms and cascade. Room by room search to determine if a tile is accessible from the path or not. Otherwise, remove all potential rooms and cascade. So how do we even search for this? Let's create a, nope, this one's fine. This one's also fine. Also fine. It doesn't happen often, but when it happens, we do want to be certain that we cross it out. Again, fine. Dude. Again, fine, because technically there's a doorway here. Are you doing the approach of deciding the path before placing tiles and just picking pieces or getting available pieces and deciding if it's a possible move? So yeah, so the red lines is what generates first. It's going to essentially, if you see these little spheres, this is basically the amount of room choices it could pick from. It will, you see the pathway is a lot less because it needs to guarantee that there's at least a doorway to the pathway. So it's going to select one that has Y positive for this one, and then this one's going to select one that requires Y negative. So then that way the connection's there. So the pathway is the first one, and it goes from there. So we need some sort of way to check, like with the pathway, along the pathway, check if there's, I don't know, maybe we need to check. I don't know. We gotta figure that out. Like how we're gonna end up doing this. Oh, here we go. Perfect example. So we have a straight path that goes directly to the point, has no T. There's no connections to this other area. We need to somehow collapse this other area entirely. And ideally, it would be nice to collapse that entire area or remove it without even loading the level instance to begin with. Ideally. But I don't think that'd be possible. Right now we're loading right now we're loading everything by lowest entropy. What if we just generate the path first and then generate the other pieces? Not all tiles have to be accessible, adds to the randomness. The only problem with that is if a tile is inaccessible, it could, once we get down to the point of like doing gameplay within these rooms, like having mechanical tasks or things that could break that require to be fixed, they could be completely inaccessible by the player. So that's my problem. Which is why I think we should filter these out and just remove it entirely. We could do the optional thing. Well, no, we can't do a thing where you have to like break it open because I like the idea of certain like cars not having full like everything being filled out. I think that seems fun. Rather than trying to do all paths via one generation path, you just have the generator do one job and rerun it with different configurations for other stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Like, right now we generate the rooms via lowest entropy. I think it might be good that we generate the required path first, lowest entropy within the required path, and then start doing the, but then we still need to figure out some way to determine if those other pathways are accessible. I don't know. What about going one by one in a loop from the start and recursively add to a number? Only connections. If the number is less than the total amount of cells, it means some rooms are not accessible, then regenerate. like I guess if I was like if I could figure this out, we would do a system where we start from index 0, which is always going to be accessible because that's the beginning doorway. And then we would check the next room, see if that's accessible. If it's not accessible, go down. Then go from there. And then we would add into a loop of each doorway that's accessible, and it would just keep going around. And then anything that's not in the array could just be removed, I guess. So what I'm getting at, I guess, is in theory, we actually don't need to load all the level instances yet, because we don't read from the level if something was selected. We could actually do all the filtering right here, which is what we're doing anyways, collapse the neighbors, and then load all the level instances. So then that way we don't have to worry about unloading levels. It might actually be the play. That can 100% be the play. Easily be the play, actually. So we would do some like our own kind of like little spreading virus kind of system. It would go down and up, and it would keep going down and up constantly until it's reached every tile possible. Until it reaches the end point. It's like sending two little goblins to see where things are fucked. The path goblins. And ideally, both of them... Well, it doesn't matter if they reach the end, but we do need to give them enough iterations that they just go through everything and then determine that stuff is accessible. But we would need something that like spreads and goes in every possible direction. Okay. That could be one way of doing it. Why was I was like thinking of something. Oh, right. We would remove the level instance from spawning and do that at the very end. And that would make our life a lot easier. So that would be step 1, I think. So then that way we don't have to unload any levels. Way down the line. Okay. So we can cut that. Can cut this. This will still do its thing, which is collapse neighbors. And then once that is completed, then we go through the for loop again. But this time we're actually generating the pieces. This time we're actually just generating the pieces. By getting the very first room. How do you check if that actor is connected? I said it's position, but it's something temporary, different name, but it's the same actor. ID equals. I guess that's another thing we could do is in each room, we can check what it's connected to. And then if there's anything in the array that's not contained, within the neighbor list, then it's like, okay, that means this room is not, I don't know, but that's not, I don't think that would work. Everything is technically connected to each other in some way. It just needs to be connected to the path. Okay, that's gonna be interesting. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we end up doing. We'll see what we end up doing. I believe this is correct. So we'll basically see the exact same result. It's just being done in a different way because we're doing all of the filtering beforehand. Let's see if it still works. Yep. You know, one way we could check... no, because that's not true. Look. Look in the corner. There's a dead end connected to a dead end. There's a dead end connected to a dead end. Like, that could be one filter that we check against, is if there's a dead end connected to a dead end, that means that there's no way of getting to it, so just remove those. I don't know how we would check against that, though. I don't know how we would check for that. I think it's best to do that system where it, like, we get two, like, multiple instances of things going in, like, different directions, and then it adds to an array, and then we just do, like a bunch of checks. Your generation algorithm should generate only accessible in the first place. It does, but there are instances where something won't be accessible from a pathway. From the main path. Like this. So these are all connected, no problem. They are all connected. However, they're just not connected to the path. So the gist of the idea is, yeah. Recursion descent would have made more sense the wave function collapse. Then you wouldn't have inaccessible pieces. Recursive descent. I don't even know what that is. Recursive descent. Sounds like a great game name. Ship it. Recursive descent. It sounds sick. Recursive descent. Walk from the start tile and walk each possibility recursively. Oh. In the beginning, we had this generate linearly. As in, it would generate from index 0 and then walk through it. But then I thought it'd be interesting to instead actually find the lowest entropy, because then that could potentially get some more interesting results. I saw a video where someone was like doing it linearly, but by doing it linearly, it caused some like patterns. Not sure if it would occur here, but you know, nonetheless, we still have issues here, so. Look at that, we generated it again. It seems to happen very often when the pathway is straight ahead. Pick any tile that would fit the path randomly. That's basically what it's doing. That's basically what it's doing. Right? So at this point of the generation, it's already been filtered in a bunch of different ways. And then we just select a random room. It clears the entire room list and just adds that one room. So now it's basically like, okay, this is collapsed. This is the only room here. And then it collapses the nearby prototype tiles. I think at the end of all of this, we just have to do a check if everything is accessible. So before this loop starts going through and actually committing to creating level instances, we could okay. How do we code this? How do we do some sort of system that'll like walk through and check if every room is accessible from the beginning? Basically, the idea is every room needs to be accessible from the very beginning. That's the idea. Luckily, in our generation system, we only need to go right or left, or right or up, or right or down. Because we're starting, index 0 is always in the top left corner. So basically we need to say, hey, get one guy to go, or get one of our generative things to go right, and then get one of them to try to go down. And then once it reaches this point, then it would try to go right or down. Then once it reaches this point, right or down, right? I don't know how I would do that though. Checking every tile. Is this really the best way of doing that though? What if you want three-way junctions? Would it just be right and up/down? Since we're starting from the very top, there's always going to be something checking if it can go right. The idea would be it would always check. So even if it's a three-way, and then it would, all of them would check going down, right? So it would, ideally what would end up happening is if successful, it should check the entire span of our grid. And then that'll determine, because we don't need to go backwards. Because if it needs to go backwards, even though it's going to the right, it means it's already reached that point. And we don't need to add that point to the array again. Trying to think of how I should code this. It's basically like doing like a grid check or something. I don't know what I would call that. It's like a grid check. How would I write that? I guess what we could do is do a for loop going to the right however many times it needs to do, in this case 5 times, and then each time it goes to the right, it's going to do a down check and a right check after that. Is that enough? The biggest thing is I don't want to suddenly break anything. I need the loop to like keep going until it reaches a dead end. At a dead end would basically be it can no longer go right or down. If it can no longer go right or down, that means it's reached a dead end. We would break that loop. Trying to think of how I would code this. It'd be a lot of looping. I would do it when generating, not post. If I understand you already have a generate path, then just walk sheet path tile and pick any tile that can fit. So the next tile on the path can be reached and fill in the rest. Hmm. Well, we do have every generated path point. Yeah. Trying to wrap my head around it of like how I would code it. Like we have some ideas of how we would go about tackling reading this situation, but and it happens in different ways as well. Like there'll be random moments where like two dead ends are connected to each other. This shit's so cool though, because I could picture this doing some like really interesting shapes and whatnot. Like I'm so excited to do more of this. Oh, there we go. Spawned again. Do you have a minimum amount of corridors to avoid a full grid of squares? A minimum amount of corridors. There's not really a minimum amount of corridors. No. I'm okay if it spawns a bunch of squares. I think that's fine. One function with one parameter for the room. Check connected rooms. Call the same function in those connected rooms. Yeah, that's how I would probably go about it. Call the same function in the connected rooms. Add all found rooms to an array and avoid checking them again using contains. Yes, that's what I would probably do. And then we could just do an add unique. So then that way it only adds once to each little tile. So I think you're right. We would go along the path. We do a for each loop of the required path, which I think we're still using. I think we're still using required path as our little tile thing, which is good. Thank goodness, because that allows us to read from required path. So we would do required path. We would do a for each loop. Filter prototype directions. Okay, collapse neighbor prototypes. So you would just need to go, even if we're checking the path. Oh, would we have to check up if we do the path though, rather than checking from the beginning index? Yeah, we would have to check going up. I've been watching for 5 minutes and still can't figure out what we're doing. Trying to figure out a way of stopping the generator from spawning. So basically we have a required path, which is this red line. We need, there are moments where a path will generate and not have any sort of connections to anything else. That's fucking diabolical. It won't have anything connected to anything else. There'll be like a separate pathway doing its own thing that is not connected to the main path. So basically, we just need to filter out any pathways that are completely inaccessible. Here we go, like this. So what would end up happening ideally is this entire bottom section would just be blank. There'd be nothing. It would just be this, because this is inaccessible from the main path. So right now I'm just trying to figure out, okay, how do we check this? I think it'd be a lot of for looping. Oh, one big problem. Actually, I think we would have to check it going to the left. Now that I think about it, we would have to check going to the left. The reason for that is, what if a room spawns a corridor door like this, but then it goes this way, and then it's a dead end? It would not be able to read this tile. Actually, you know what? Instead of reading right or left, we could just read each of the doorways, and then if x negative is 1, okay, then check that room to the left, and then check that one to the left if there's one there as well. Yeah, not sure about it, but using Dijkstra's pathfinding could help to check if some rooms are out of reach. My only problem is, like, with doing these pathfinding algorithms that are already there, I don't really know how to do them. I don't really know. I don't really know how to do them. Wikipedia is your friend. It's not for me, man. Anytime I do any sort of like long reading for any algorithm stuff, I'm always like lost. I really have to just try to implement something myself. I don't think we need any of those pathfinding algorithms for this though, because it's all tile based and we already know where a doorway and a non-doorway is. Okay. MSC7, why is it not just spawning on the path? Why is it spawning on the grid? Then we have to find and delete. It works from... Like, I guess we could just generate from 0 and then work its way outward. But it basically works by choosing the lowest tile with the lowest amount of options and then fills it in, filters out its surrounding pieces, and then continues on, basically. But we could generate it from the path. I don't know how we would go about doing that though. Yeah, do 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 do. Do 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 do. No, here we go with another one. Look at it like a maze. You have an entry and an exit point. You just find tile combinations from start to end. That gives a valid path to end. That's what I'm thinking. We would still have to check going left, like backtracking, in the case where it's like if it goes in the direction of the path, but then it goes down, but then goes to the left, we would have to make sure that that's valid as well. Okay. Hold on. I'm trying to think of how I'm going to write this. So I think we would start from index 0. We need some sort of moving system. We need some sort of moving system. It would go through every room. Let's do this. Okay. This would have to be in between this. We would do something in between this here. So we'll do like a sequence, and it would be something, it would be basically in here. Find inaccessible prototypes. Find inaccessible rooms, I guess. So we would get the first prototype, which is index 0. Then we would, at this point, I think at this point, all of the tiles only have one option. So all we have to do is do get, or sorry, break this, get the very first option, get the array within the array. This gives us the first tile. Then we can break this tile, and we have every direction that it could go in right here. This is a 2D list. Technically, it's a one-directional array. These are just room options. So the room options, each each one of these rooms will have like a selection of array or of rooms, which is what this is, right? The actual thing is a one-directional array because we have 0, 1. I think that's one-directional. Isn't that one-directional? Or I guess it's kind of a 2D, yeah. Basically, it's just an array of integers, and it's just a singular index that defines where it is, right? Because we just use the span, the X span, to kind of determine where it is on the grid. Okay. So we just have to check if any of these points are not equal to 0. Sound, by the way, thank you for the prime. Thank you. Prim's algorithm? What's Prim's algorithm? So we would check every single one of these, I guess. And then we would check if it's within the inaccessible room list. How can we make it so the instant it discovers another room, start for looping within that room in each direction? What would be the what how I'm trying to picture that. So I know for certain we need recursion. How would we set that up? I think I saw, I think I read something in here about recursion. It's a function calling itself with a different parameter. So we would need another. So find inaccessible rooms would be the first thing. So this would be the first one, and then we put an index into this. And then this would be the actual thing. Find inaccessible rooms, or collapse or remove inaccessible rooms. This would actually be in here. And then this one would do a discover neighbor rooms. This would start here. You know, claw. Array that saves the checked tiles. Right. So then it doesn't so it doesn't go back into a direction where it's already been. That would be the idea. So this would be accessible rooms. I guess that could be under path solving. And accessible rooms would be an integer array. Oh shit, we're gonna have to do all of our like Boolean checks that we did last time to go left, up, right, down again. Which is what we wrote in here. Because this checks if something is to the right and then which index it would be. I guess we could just copy paste this. It's kind of stupid, but I don't really know any other way of checking. I guess first what we'd want to do is check if any of these pathways are valid. So I guess a sequence. Let's make it first and then we can improve it later. Let's make it first and then we can improve it later. Let's make it first and then we can improve it later. because we need to check through every single one technically. And then once we've checked the index, then we have to check if we've already checked against that. If we have checked against that tile already, that means that the pathway has already gone in that direction, and we don't need to check that one. So that would be the next step. So first step is checking if any of these doorways are not equal to 0, which means it's not a wall. In the future we might have some different stuff like 0F or 1F, whatever. Don't you have functions to check individual sizes? You don't have to copy paste everything? Honestly, at this rate, I should. At this rate, I should. I should, because we're doing a lot of repeated code. Like this right here is basically the same thing to check if there is a tile that goes down. If there is a tile that exists downwards. Okay, that actually, we don't need to check if the tile exists downwards. If there's a doorway, if there's a doorway that is going down, that means that there is a tile down there, so we don't need to check against it, we just need to get the index. And then from there, we need to check if it's already been solved. We've already solved it. We've already solved that there's a doorway there. That means that that tile does exist. We don't need to check against that. We just need to get the value and then check if it's inside of the accessible rooms already. Yes, man. Yes, dude. Okay, first we need to clear this array, though. This is getting, it's getting pretty gnarly. Yeah, we've already checked that that doorway slash grid tile exists. The next thing is just checking if we want to even check against it. Okay, so X positive is going to the right. This is for, what is this? What is this value for? This is for going down. This is for going down. So that's Y positive. So first we need to check if it's contained within the already accessible rooms. Okay. We have not checked against it. We would assume that any rooms that are going through this are accessible. So we're gonna, when we go through here, we're gonna go ahead and add a unique of the accessible room. And then in here, if it's not contained in the accessible room, then we're going to go ahead and call discover neighbor rooms again, but on that index. So this is recursion, because it's recalling the function that it's already called, and then it's going to call this function again if this has that doorway in there. Gotcha. Gotcha. When I made chess, I had a set array size, number X tiles, number Y tiles, then stored an integer to describe that query. You do something similar, like 10, 10 to describe the location of the doors. This path is built, we run the full array. That's kind of what we have here, but instead of 10, 10, we have each tile piece being a separate variable. Probably could have made it one variable, though, to be fair. Probably could have made it one variable and then separated them with like commas or something. Watch out to not recall the previous room. That's exactly why we have checked accessible rooms. It checks if it's contained. If it does not contain it, then allow the thing to go through into that room. You could also learn recursion if you Google what is recursion. I learned it by just doing it, motherfucker. It's like making a cake without a recipe, which is psychotic. Egg, milk, wheat, Flour. I mean, not wheat. Flour. Yeah. You know, Duck, how's the pasta coming along? You know, it's getting al dente. It's getting al dente. This fucker's getting real al dente. Although, I gotta say, I don't know if this is correct, where we have to constantly, like, read our thing and, like, go into... I don't know. I don't know if this is correct, but it feels correct. It feels correct. So this is for going up. This is for going up. Up is y negative. And we just need to do the exact same code here. Good old wheat cake. You know, Pimo, how's it going? And then it's going to check against this one. Now remember, in Discover Neighbor Rooms, we always constantly add the checked accessible room to state, hey, we've checked against this room. We don't need to check this room again. So that's how we're basically saving our skin in this situation. Now, I already know how to go left and right. We literally just add 1 or -1, and that will be the way that we check going left or right. Very, very easy. In fact, I think we could literally just copy this. X positive, yep. We can copy paste this entire thing. This could probably be turned into a function. I do realize that. So this we'd -1 because x negative goes in the minus direction of the index. Is that correct though? Hold on. If a room is to the left, it's always going to be minus. If a room is to the left, it's always going to be minus. If a room is to the right, okay. We will have to do a check to make sure that it's not checking against the endpoint, which leaves the index array. If we check for right over here, it's going to check this index value. Balls. Okay. I guess we could check if we're at the very edge of the map. Well, fuck it, whatever. So x positive is our most important one, and x negative. So we're kind of still checking if the rooms are valid. The y we don't care too much about because there's never a doorway, at least in our current algorithm, we never set a doorway in our constraint system. Actually, hold on. What if we just... What if we just check against our constraints? If we're within the tile that we're currently in, this would be a better way of doing this because then that solves all of the problems here. Let me see here. So get hold on. There's an area where I check against this stuff. and I do that. This is probably pretty dumb, but whatever. Okay, so here we're going to create the constraint. Prototype index is just going to be index. So this checks if there's any constraints existing. And then what we need to check against is, fuck man, this is going to be really stupid. Well, it's not going to be stupid. It's going to be correct. It's going to solve our problems, but... so if I remember correctly, in our current constraints, we have 0 and then... this doesn't really solve the problem because constraints just mean that it has to force a specific tile to do something, which isn't really like correct. So this isn't really correct. What if you could change the rooms that players aren't stood in or are adjacent to every time they leave a room? What if you could change the rooms that players aren't stood in or are adjacent to every time they leave a room? Oh, so to kind of make them get confused and shit? Make them go crazy? Make them go crazy. You know Phoenix? So we have to do filter tile bounds, and basically, I think we're still checking against, yeah, I think we are still checking to see if a tile can exist in a spot. Oh, so this is if it can go down. So we're still kind of doing, let's close all the other tabs. I'm getting kind of crazy here. Filter tile bounds, keep this open and then open this up. Saw a fun FriendSwap game called Shift at Midnight. I did see that one. It kind of mixes FriendSwap with that kind of like convenience store management kind of stuff, which I think is fun. This checks if we can go down, which would be Y positive. Wait. Oh yeah, we got to do all of this. Okay. We're basically still filtering the things. Even though we have the doors, we're still technically filtering to see if the left side or right side is valid. Kind of dumb. I also think this should maybe be a function. Checking if specific doorways are valid. Probably would be kind of smart. Turning that into a pure function as well, because we do use these nodes, I think a few times now. So this one is for going down, which would be Y positive. just walk each possible path and discard dead ends accordingly. That's basically, once this reaches a point where it can't do anything, it is going to stop. Like, it's going to stop looping through everything, essentially. It will essentially stop looping through everything, which is good. Because it'll get to a point where already accessible rooms have been reached. I should just turn this into a function. Let me do that. Is tile below valid? And then we can clean up some of our other code in the filtering system. This is the right spot right here. Is tile below valid? We feed it the prototype index. Good to go. This is checking if the tile above is valid, which is literally just a less than span X. It's that easy, baby. It's that easy. So we have direction checks. Is the tile below valid? Is the tile above valid? This one is checking if the tile to the left is valid. Oh wow, it realized that it's using the same value for both. Wait, no, it's not. I thought it was good. It wasn't. I thought it would reuse the same value. It didn't. Whatever. Index is equal to 0 or wait. What is this doing? That is not correct. Wait, hold on. I can't undo. These are correct. Is tile below valid? Is tile above valid? We should also maybe return the actual tile. That would make things a lot easier too. This one though, not correct. This is checking if it is on the left. It's kind of annoying. Also, I don't know if this OR statement is required. If you do a division with an index of 0, and you divide it by a divisor, isn't the remainder just going to be 0? Or is it going to be 5? In this case, whatever span X is. Whatever. I should make some different nodes for that though. So is tile above valid is fine. Index is less than span x. Wait, hold on. I think I've been reading this wrong the entire time. This one is correct. Index plus span x is less than or equal to the max amount of tiles. Yeah, this one's correct. Is tile above valid? Index less than span x. This isn't checking if the above tile is valid. It's checking if we're at the edge on the top. Whoopsies. Yeah. This is just doing a check if it can move down. Whereas this one is literally just checking if we're at the top. Okay. Which, like, I think this is fine to use in our thing, actually. And not the top tile. We want to make sure that we are not in the top tiles. That way it does not try to move up. Because there's nothing there. Less than span x. If index is not, I might have to put a not or equal, actually. Wait, no. Less than 5. No, I think it has to be less than or equal. Index span x less than, not less than. No, actually, no, this is fine. God, man, my brain. Water, hurry. I need to lubricate my brain. I thought dividends were just like money. Yeah, I don't know how that works. The mason jar is getting larger. It literally is not. So x negative is going to the left, but we need to make sure that we're not on the border. So luckily to check for that, we do have that here. I'm just gonna copy this and let me just read it real quick to make sure that I'm doing this shit correctly. So it is checking that it is equal to 0 or this is equal to 0. We want to make sure that this is not the case. We do not want to be. On the edge. And then over here, x positive, we're checking if we're on the right side. It's kind of the opposite of this, except we're doing a +1. Don't ask me why. Tuesday, my new office sofa arrives. Is it paid by the company? Okay. I think this is correct. All right. I think this is correct. So if we do recursion, so can someone answer this for me? If we do recursion in this function, it's not asynchronous technically, right? So if I do anything after this, this entire process going through every single tile has completed, basically, right? It does mean that we're probably gonna have some hitching. That's fine, whatever. But essentially, this has to go through entirely through every single tile first before it's completed, right? So that means I can start doing my process here. And then what we could do is go through every single prototype, do a for each loop. Actually, for each loop is fine. If this index if this does not contain this item, then what we want to do, I probably didn't have to do it this way, but whatever. We want to get a reference of the array index. Probably could have done this better. And then do this, split, and clear the entire thing. Once this is completed, then we do the return node. Don't know if you could do recursion in Blueprints. I think you can, as long as it doesn't loop over a certain number of times. Why not fire it in the loading screen so it's all pre-calculated? That's what it would do, Fist. It would do that all in the like loading screen or whatever. Okay, let's see if that works. If I do this in the editor, will it crash if there's an infinite loop? Well, I guess let's be responsible, huh? Reach check attempts failed. We also have to make sure that we set this value to 0 whenever we generate. Okay, so every time we do this, before we start generating the rooms, let's go ahead and remove inaccessible rooms, which is doing this whole process. Let's see if it works. Uh-oh, I gotta delete this old room. Uh-huh. So, messed up somewhere. We messed up. X positive goes to the right. Infinite loop detected, of course. Okay. I don't think it's going to let us do this. God, that really sucks. Got to be careful about your exit conditions for the recursive calls. I don't really know how we're going to do this. It's actually very possible that wait, hold on. We can fix this a little bit. We can improve this. We don't need to do any of these checks if the thing is already contained. So this whole thing could actually be broken from the very beginning. We don't have to do these constant checks here, actually. That might help with the infinite loop. I don't know. I think maybe it just says infinite loop because it has a function, the same function within the function, which would be so annoying if that's true, if that's the case. Ah! Oh. Okay, let's see. This should be an improvement first off. First we check that this is not contained. Because otherwise we don't need to do all these checks. Not contained, otherwise do this. Otherwise, close. Then we don't have to keep doing these checks here because we've already checked for that. Which would make our life a lot easier, I think. And I think that's the only thing it's checking for is just that, so. Recursive calls work 100% blueprint. Okay, so I think this should help us then. Doing what we're doing, cutting out all this, plus it's cutting out some bloat in our code anyway, so. Can I clear this? Okay, clear. Let's try it again. Nope, it's still detecting an infinite loop. This is why I did a set array size. That way there's no recursions. Way faster to get a known index than to use find or contains all the time. You could go and change the max loop iteration count in the project settings. What's funny to me though is we're technically doing our own call here to see if we're going into an infinite loop, and that iteration count is 500. And it's still calling an infinite loop. Even though we set a limit. I guess, do we need to put a return node here to... I don't think so. I don't think that's necessary. Are you making sure your recursion depth is bounded? Each call of the function will spawn more. We could call a breakpoint here for sure. Like, I'm curious if we add an additional 0 in here, just for testing. No, it still cause Second check on the right seems to miss a variable on index -1. No, this one goes to the left, which is x negative. So this one goes to the left. And then this checks that it's not on the left boundary. I feel like we did a pretty good job here for it to check attempts. Like, we put it literally our own fucking thing in here. Discover neighbor rooms. Just call a single direction at a time to see if it's a miscalculation. Sure, let's do that. Let's do X positive. Sound, thank you for the 100 biddies. Why did that sound so crunchy? Did you guys hear that? Something weird going on. Maybe it's finding an index that's not valid. But then that would have told me if it's invalid. If a tile was invalid, it would have told me that it's invalid. So, but let's do a check here. Is valid index. Let's do that. Let's do this real quick. Maybe it's like not able to find an index that exists. Huh. So we're not getting an infinite thing anymore. Let me try hooking up the other ones. We are, however, losing all of our rooms to the right. X positive. If X positive is true, it's not equal 0. Oh, I'm stupid, dude. It was doing a down check. Five push-ups, huh? Motherfucker, man. Is that another 5 push-ups? Hold on, I gotta check this shit. Yep, it is. I want to make it 15. Mods, get that man. Make him do push-ups. Okay, it's working. It's working. We did it. We did it. I just fucked up in one little spot. Look, we would have had this issue be a problem. Now it's no longer a problem. This room accessible, but it is a dead end. These two rooms inaccessible. Goodbye. Goodbye. Now, the real challenge. A 10 by 10 grid. Oh, dude, hell yes. Oh, dude. Yes, man. Yes, man. Yes. Get an Uno reverse card and just hold it up when someone redeems push-ups. I get one Uno reverse card per stream. Now, yes, now the real challenge. Putting things in the rooms. And then randomizing the rooms. Oh, shit. It cut off a whole section. This is cool as fuck, dude. Now, you know what the real challenge is now? Also, I'm fucking lagging. Like, I have 40 FPS right now. Let me try reloading this level. Okay, I think there was a bunch of like stuff there. What section? So the cars, some of the cars are gonna have like randomly generated stuff. Kind of randomly generated rooms, and it just feels really good when these spawn in. I think like it adds an element of like suspense because you don't know how the car is structured. I think this does give me some like indicator of like we should make the other cars have some kind of randomization, at least to some extent. Like the library, we should have... Yep. Hold on. Sorry, I was going so fast on my push-ups that I fucking went on fire. Don't redeem push-ups again. I will cause arson. All right, anyways. So, our thing is working. Yes, dude. Finally, something I make that works. For now. Until I start making it so we want to add in multi-tile pieces. Okay. Does it replicate? We don't know that yet. Don't ask that question. Don't ask that question. We don't know. What we can do, though, is we're going to duplicate this level. Okay. The rando gen tile. We're gonna rename this to rando gen car. This is the real one. And then in this one, We're going to delete these two here. Going to hide this, and we're going to delete this. Okay. We might have to delete the lights as well. Oh, that's going to be fun. Pukes. Because then the cabin manager is going to have to dynamically discover all that stuff. Oh, and also the electrical box. That's going to be another point of interest in this system. We're nowhere near done with this, guys. We're nowhere near done. If anything, this is just the beginning. If anything, this is literally just the beginning. Do I have a seed that will generate the same thing every single time? Yes. So if the level instances for some reason do not end up being replicated, which there is one thing I do need to change actually, which is this right here. I'd like to delete this, please. I'd like to delete this, please. Thank you. We'll hook this up real quick. We also need to make sure. Can we get the level? Returns the U level that this actor is a part of. Okay, but that's going to return the root level. Uh-oh. Okay, what if we give this a hash? Some sort of random value. Let's do random integer in range. Let's see if that works. Might be a better way of doing this, but I think it just needs to be unique. I think this value just needs to be unique. The GUID, I guess we could do the GUID of this, but I don't know if that's going to be correct. I don't know. 5 push-ups, huh? All right. You asked for this. GUID is always unique. My only problem is it might be too long. It might be too long for our level generator thingy. Okay. So let's see if this works. Randomize seed. Create level instances. Randomize seed. Delete instances. So now you can kind of see what it's going to look like inside of the car. Did you guys just see a tile not spawn? Wait. Did you guys see that? Was that just me? I think maybe I clicked the button too fast. Yeah, the big challenge though is the multi-tile pieces. I definitely want to fuck around with. I think that'd be fun. What did Jay say? If you were making a game about capturing creatures, what would you do that isn't ball shaped for capturing? A bear trap. Okay, that's fucked up. A bear trap. This motherfucker's like, let's fuck up this monster's life, this creature's life. So this will generate on event begin play. It just has to spawn in level instances. So they should be replicated. In theory. Let's see if that's true though. We're about to find out. So in the cabin type, instead of spawning the test, We're going to spawn the real one. In fact, I have an idea. What if we only spawn the generation car? Let's stress test it. And also that'll make it a lot easier for me so I can just look at it. Okay, we've been staring at this level for so long. Okay. Moment of truth. So we need 3 clients in Pi. All right. Okay, here we go. Well, it's not working on the server. Okay, so it seems like I have to test this on the server first. It is trying to spawn in rooms that don't exist. Okay. Okay. Let's see where the problem lies. Is it in the actor location? Transform from local space to world space. Oh, I think it's the rotation. I think it's the rotation. I think. Why did I have to make it so all of the train cars are like the wrong fucking rotation? Oh my god, that's so stupid. That's biting me in the ass right now. We should change that. We should just change that. Honestly, we should just change that. That is ridiculous. Wait a second, I never placed a door there. Alright, so plussing 90 works. However, now when we want to debug this thing, it's not going to work properly because we have to add 90 degrees to fix the damn thing. I think we just changed the entire level and everything, which means we're going to have to change all of our directional stuff so that all of the trains face the right direction and they don't end up getting rotated when we load them in, because that's really fucking stupid of me. At least now, though, we can test if it gets replicated correctly. But I do think that's going to be one of our big fixes that hopefully should improve things. Let's see, do they have the same structure? What the hell was that? Oh, right, there's no light in here. So, as far as I can tell... Uh-oh. I'm lost. So this is a tight corridor, but for this guy, it's a big corridor. We can easily fix that by using the stream seed, because I am using a randomize without a stream seed. We should be able to just easily fix that, no problem. That being said, it is telling me that the level instances are... Oh, you know what? You know what it might be, actually? I think I know what it might be. Yeah, only the server should be running it. Okay, corridor. So we'll know this is working if they still see the generated rooms. We'll know that it's loading the level instances. How do you check if it's... okay, we want to make sure that this is not empty. I saw some errors for that. This would be the empty slots anyways, so that's good. Okay. So when we load a level instance, let me double check how we're loading level instances in our other stuff. In the main engine, we load level instances. Is the entire thing replicated though? No. And it is also calling net load on client. Does that mean that the level instances are also loading on the clients? Wait a second. I think it is. Even though I thought these level wait. Let's try that. Let's try that. I'm actually kind of surprised. So when the train loads in, I think the clients are loading their own version. Which is very interesting. Really? Wait, really? So in our train engine car, I know we use the random stream in here, but I think each client is loading their own level instance. The only thing that's separate is that we keep the same level name override. That's the biggest thing. We're keeping the same level override. So basically, instead of a random, we want to use a random array item from stream. And this is how we want to do it. And then we want to make a random stream. And we're going to want to use the game states seed. Only thing here is making sure that all of the replicated actors will be fine. Hopefully. So in game state, we want to get the seed. One problem with using this run seed in here is we need to add a random value to it. Which way does the train go? Y. We're gonna have to change that, I think. So this is gonna be one of those things that we change. Let's just do X and Y. We'll first round them. Which will be more consistent on each client, and then add them. And then we'll run that to the we'll add that to the initial seed. And then the next thing we need to do is get the index and add that to this as well. So we'll multiply this by 15 and put that in there next. Z as well, flying trains. Unfortunately, we do not have flying trains. This ain't no Star Wars, okay? This ain't no motherfucking Star Wars. Okay, next up, anywhere else we use a seed. Right, we can use this as a way to differentiate this level instance. Oh, fuck. I think I also gotta add the run seed to this as well, because... as long as the seed doesn't... as long as you don't use the same seed in one run. I really hope so! I really hope we do not! That would be bad! It would be really bad. Happy affiliate and moi. What happened to your keyboard? What the hell happened? Thank you, Meta. Thank you. I'm waking up. I see. Is this like the way that a Latin soccer fan, sorry, football fan wakes up? Is they, I don't know, start yelling random things? Start rugby fan. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Let's see if this is replicated. Is there any other spots where we do random? Oh shit, I just saw a shuffle from stream. Wait, no, guys. Wait. This does, however, mean that our shit... Okay, backtracking we don't care about right now. Should try vertical move. I really hope this works. Okay, let's see. All right, let's go. All right, let's see. What do you got? Let's see. This is work. Works. Tight corridor. Okay. All right, client one. Let's see it. Tight corridor. First thing is a tight corridor. Next room is a T. Okay, you are correct. Next one, tight corridor corner. With a door. The door is replicated. Oh, wait, no, the door is always there. It doesn't get spawned in. But that's good, that's good, that's good. Dead end. I'm assuming dead end on here too. Dead end. Are there items that spawned in on the client? Yeah. It was underneath the floor. Okay. Okay, next room. If anything, maybe we just got lucky. That looks about right to me. Next room, tight corridor. Correct. Next room, corner. Tight corner. Random room. Item clipping in floor. Whatever. And then dead end. Okay. So... it works. I technically don't need to add a plus 90 in here. We just need to get our actor transform. Our actor rotation. Split that and then put that in there. We should still be generating these correctly, and that also means we can still test out our things without any weird fuckery going on. I'm in the wrong place. Diegetic handheld minimap. We have this. Okay, that seemed to work. Is just feeding that. And that also should mean that we can still go into our level, even though it should not be this way, and we should still be able to go in and do test generations. Right. The testing seed no longer works. Which I understand. I know. I'm going to add the testing seed to these, so that way we can still test. Oh, that's backtracking. We're going to have to change that though. Geez, I felt like I had a stroke just now. Do street lights face towards the street or towards the sidewalk? Towards the street. Bit of arcade. What does make random stream node do? It's like it makes a random number. It's like a random number generator, but it reads from a seed. So I feed the seed. I feed the seed. And then it kind of goes from there. Why is it I have to click it twice, though? Is it because I specified a level name on it now? I think it is. Is the map gem now purely the tile walking loop, or is it still using the old generation, the stuff you just did, filters out unreachable tiles? So what we added earlier is, yeah, it just filters out unreachable tiles. It will call remove inaccessible rooms and then clear any prototype maps that aren't contained within the checked inaccessible rooms. And that's found by, it's basically just stepping through every doorway in every room. So it'll check every direction, up, left, right, down. As long as this room hasn't been checked already, and then it's gonna check every direction. It's actually pretty fucking cool. This is probably the coolest thing I've ever made. Yeah. You could generate this with this in the first place, prevents you from looping twice. Right. There's a lot of things that are being done redundantly in here that I could have done way better. But, you know, for a first attempt, I'm pretty happy with it. Like, I'm pretty happy with it. Replication is going to be an interesting one. I think if we want to make rooms that have multiple doorways, like, for example, let me go to the test car. This tile right here, it's really stupid. This tile right here should be a unique tile. It should be two separate unique tiles. And here's the reasoning. These tiles have a spacing between them, so I can't like reuse them. What this one could be is like it has two doorways, so the system knows, hey, we have two doorways, and then this could be a connected piece. This could be considered as like 1F, and then this one could be 1F, as in floor, or 1O, as in one open. And then all we have to do then from there, some of our stuff is not coded like that. Some of our stuff might be coded specifically to only check if it equals 1, which is, oh, fuck me. Shit. Yeah, I don't know how we're going to do multiple big tile pieces, but I know for sure this is something I want. I do 100% want big, chunky tile pieces, because I think that would be awesome. Now do a smaller tile size and multiple paths with Z levels for the laundry room. Okay, slow down, motherfucker. Slow down. To make these big rooms, though, we would need an entirely different set of tiles, though. Which I'm okay with. Hey, fuck it. I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. Because that could introduce some really cool stuff. Like, if I make enough tiles, we could, in theory, have tiles that could be L-shaped. Meaning you can run here and here in an open space. And that could be pretty fucking cool. The only problem is how do we populate that room? Because the idea here was that it's just one big level, not two tiles connected to each other. I don't know how we would populate the interior of it. Anyways, question for another day. I would say this is a huge success. I'ma say it. Humongous success. I might even put the test car in here. If anything, we could always have handmade ones too. That could be fun. I would just use the generator to generate me something, or I just place the tiles myself. And then we could do some fun stuff ourselves. Why not? Fuck it. Catch the player off guard. Yeah, there's two options. We create a tile set for the larger rooms. Don't know how we're going to do that with like populated props and stuff. That's going to be interesting. Option 2 is we somehow find a way to generate large pieces and it occupies multiple grid spaces while still following its required rules. How would we do that? Glad you asked. Don't fucking know. Problem for future me. Not problem for current me. Haha. Yeah. Yeah. Not a problem for current me. Anyways, let's delete the managers in here because they're gonna otherwise spawn a bunch of shit. Actually, let's delete that one, but what we can do is don't create the level instances. And only appear in the editor. As is editor only. Okay, good. So this shouldn't generate anything. Okay, guys, they're generating stuff. I don't want them to, but they are. Do thing. Yes. The best variable name in existence. You heard it here, folks. Do thing. Yes. So these will now no longer do thing. Wait, no, that's stupid. Wait, it's dumb. That's a dumb idea. Go back in here. Which dumbass thought of this? Whatever. It's fine. It's just gonna load a bunch of red lines and shit. Who cares? Okay. Cool. I think they're working properly. Let's get two of them in. One with a rando and one that's the actual like the test car and then the random gen. Can we do that? Can we do that, please? Can I get one train that has both of them, please? Okay, just one time. Just okay. Both are tests. All right. Okay, you're pulling my leg here. You're pulling my leg. Come on, come on, come on. Whatever. What a joke. I feel like there should be a weighting where it weights the random generate cars more. I know that was something people mentioned as like Okay, whatever. There we go. We got it. We got it. These boring cars. Look at this. Beach ball. Yeah, these cars just now in comparison to the randomly generated cars feel so bland versus the like randomly generated pathway ones, man. Okay, the items spawning in the ground though, we are definitely gonna have to fix that. We are 100% gonna have to fix that. It's even spawning landmines in here. Please don't come in here. I'm closing the door. 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 I'm holding the door closed. I'm holding the door closed. You can't come in. Fail RP. Does it look good enough for 1.0? No, not yet. That's for sure. Whoa. Oh no. Yup. Youch. Yeah, dude, they like, in comparison, these levels are so just bland because it's always the same space. Now that being said, the monsters you encounter create a different environment, but just, man, having some randomization feels so good. Oh, this is the one that has the lights. Yeah, this is the, what it could look like visually. What the hell was that? Ball. Ground. Ball. It needs a gun? We have a gun. It just doesn't do anything. Yet. Hands up. This is our current gun. In the game. Ball? Am I going to furnish these random generator rooms? Yes. That's challenge number 2. How do we furnish them in a way that doesn't look weird? Gun looks very Canadian. Hands up. Bang. Alright. We're looking good. Game's looking good. Is he stuck? Are you stuck over there? No, you just got here. Alright, cool. Hope there's no werewolf in here. That means he's in here. Don't mind if I do. Don't look this way. Okay, thank you. Me turning on lights when there's no lights in here. Alright, the randomly generated stuff I think is the ticket. It's one of the tickets of the game currently, I think. Having those randomly generated rooms and just that random generation, it feels good. Feels good. Feels really good. Now, I wonder, can those levels despawn properly? Wait, no, this is correct. Because this is the actual train car. This one, I think, had one at the... Did we have one at the very back? I think we did. I think it was a random generation car. So it did delete the streaming level correctly. Okay, good. Oh, never mind. What do we say? I think when we call end play, we have to unload all of these levels. Yeah. Beach ball has to have simulate physics enabled if you'd like to add force. Oh, is that when it's deleting itself? Error. Whoops. Okay, let's go into the generator. And let's make it so when this calls end play. Let's go ahead and delete instances. I love how the end play is all the way down here. So let's just call delete instances. Let's see if that works. So we have to see, okay. Let's first get them spawning a random gen car. Okay, not the test, because that's a fake one. That one's not real. Please. Just spawn the damn thing correctly, please. No, not that one, the other one, not the test. Thank you. There we go. Okay, good. Now we go in. Okay, good. Let's make sure that it spawned all the tiles. Okay, it's this one. Spawned all the tiles. Even the employee is over here. He's having a good time. Look at him. Having a good time. All right. Then we teleport to station. This is going to cause the next train to spawn in. Now all we have to do is check that those rooms are no longer there. I think it was this one. So I have reason to believe that it worked. Wait. Uh-oh. Maybe not. Maybe it just spawned another random generation car right inside of it. But I think it worked because I'm not seeing any overlap. Yeah, I'm not seeing any overlap. I don't know how to unhide that. That is hidden forever. I literally do not know how to unhide it. Okay. Dude. 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 Dude, hell yeah. Dude. Dude. I want to try running through the 10 by 10 tiled one. Well, that's not good. Also not good. What's going on? Is that because it has to wipe the instances? We are seeing some weird stuff going on now. I'm pretty certain that's I think that's this. Or possibly this, the level name override. That's my guess. Is it's causing a little bit of fuckery there. What if I tried deleting the instances and then this technically on begin play should generate the thing? Let's see if it looks fucked up. That's the entrance. Guys, I think the auto exposure is getting really bright. It's getting really, really bright in here. What's blessing my ears right now? This is the Run by Jakal. Jakal. I think if you generate it while in play, it's fine. Is this the entrance? Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. No, it is not. 10 by 10, there's 100 Oh, I see what's going on. The iteration count when we're checking the... I bet you if I look at the output log, we're gonna see reached max count. I also do see some level package stuff going on, so it's probably because the level names are the same. Yeah, called was the name that already exists. Returning null pointer. Yeah, I think that's what's going on as well. I do think part of it though is also I do think part of it is also the iteration count thing. The max iterations for discovering the neighbor rooms. Let's set that to 1,000. No, that's just some fucked up. I don't know what the... Is 1,000 not enough? No, that's crazy. Wait, hold on. Okay, fine. 5,000. Okay. We have a random room going nowhere again. Is that not enough? All right, fine. 50,000. What the hell's going on? Also, by the way, we should probably change the iteration loop back to the original value, not what we just set it to. Crim just throw numbers at the bug. Listen, I think that's literally what it is. It's either that or... Here, let's try deleting the instances real quick. Let's wait a second and then randomize. Yeah, I don't see any errors saying that it has any level instances with the... No, what the fuck? Okay, the 10 by 10 tile... It's either one of two things. Either this thing is bugged now... Does it bug out when the tile space is too big? I have a feeling this might be our limit. This might be just too big. Like, what the hell happened here? It couldn't even get to that point. Length of the prototype -1. Remove inaccessible rooms. I don't think it's the inaccessible rooms check, but what we should do is just at least check if that's the culprit of this doing some weird stuff. No. Because what is this? What the hell is this tile doing here? What the hell are you doing? What the hell is this thing doing? What if we remove the check attempts? No, it's still doing it. What the fuck? What the funk? What the hell? Wait, it's still breaking. Wait. What? I wonder if this return node is closing the entire loop. No, we still see some weird stuff going on. It's still removing tiles. It's just doing some weird stuff is going on. Huh. Weird. I think I think that was actually the pathway. Yeah, what the fuck? The pathway's going this way, and then it doesn't know what to do. Okay. It's not these return nodes. Let me look at my humongous graph real quick. So we filter the tile bounds. That's fine. Then the constraints. Then we do a bunch of bullshit. Creates the required path. Where do we remove the neighbors? Collapse nearby, collapsed neighbor prototypes. Is this collapsing anything? Uh-oh. This might be collapsing tiles on the pathway. Hey, Piper, how's it going? I don't know what this is doing, but clearly something weird is going on. I don't know if it's just this that's causing it to break, where we gave it a level name override, or something else. I don't know. I think it's literally just that. I think it's literally just giving it a level name override, I guess because streaming levels out, and then trying to assign it a new name is causing it to just break and probably reload the original level that it was assigned to originally. I think that's what's going on. It's just this thing. Well, create level instances, run seed, testing, testing BP, sure, whatever. How are you doing, Hyper? Hope you're doing well. If it's false, we'll do this. If it's true, it'll be empty. So that means we can set these two to testing blueprints. That also means that we could just put this not to run in the begin play now that I think about it. Easy. Look at that. Solutions. And now we can randomize the seed very quickly again, and it works. So I think if there's a level streaming, so what that does tell us, we need to be sure that the level stream name will never be the same in a run. Otherwise, the level will be fucked. But this is cool, dude. We could do so much cool stuff. The only next challenge is how do we introduce tiles that are multi-sized, or alternatively, we can create a tile set that can create multiple sizes. That's okay, but then how do we populate the interior of that thing? I don't know. Do we randomly generate the interior as well? That sounds crazy, and I don't think I'm ready for that. Alternatively, we create the multi-tile pieces, but then we have to change our entire generation system to know how to deal with multi-sized tiles. Capsules are tall things like lamps, poles, etc. X amount of presets that are auto-selected. The only... Like, the furnishing doesn't need to be super intricate. If anything, it could have like certain corner pieces with open space, could have like just a pillar in the middle, and at least that breaks shit up. So here's what I'm picturing, basically. Here, I'll open up my tile set that we have currently. So this is our... Please hold. Please hold. This is our current tile set, okay? Our current tile set works off of two values, 0 or 1. 1 equals a doorway. What we would have to add is if we were to make a very fancy piece, which basically meant, hey, this can now connect to other pieces and is not a wall, we would have to create some sort of like 1F. I do think that is a worthwhile investment. And like, listen, if it just means that the space is a little bit open and maybe we generate some random objects in the middle or whatever, I think that's fine. If anything, it could be like a table, it could be some random bullshit, it could be like whatever. It doesn't need to be like this super intricate like thing. It's better than just having the same sized room over and over and over again. Like even the tight corridors are a really cool addition. Like that's already a really cool addition that we could do more of. Like for example, I just had an idea. We only have a corner and a tight one. What about a T-connection tight? How about a T-connection tight? Thought of that one? I think what matters more is making the rooms fit in the world, not just be copies. Yeah. I think either way, we'd probably want to figure out some sort of random generation within the rooms anyways, and then we can reuse that code in the other like special cars as well. So I think this would be good for the future anyways. Actually, wait, I needed those. What am I doing? I'm just going to copy these and just bevel them. And then we'll delete the other faces. It would appear... Are one of these thicker than the other? No, I don't think so. I think this is fine. Okay, so we have this. Now we just need to move this in. So now you guys are witnessing how I would go about creating a new piece and then adding it to the generator, which is going to be done, you guessed it, by hand. Because I don't have a way of determining this shit myself yet. Every room kind of looked the same, but was still different because of the different elements. I think that's what I kind of want it to be. It's kind of like, it's kind of Backrooms-esque. It's kind of got a Backrooms-esque vibe to it. Okay, now we just need to give it a level. So we'll duplicate this one, tcon tight. See, the process of adding content though, gotta say, probably one of the more annoying things, because I gotta create a whole new level, then I gotta go into the generated data. We have 4 instances of tcon. So I'm gonna duplicate this, and this will be tcon tight. I'm gonna duplicate this one. This one will also be tcon tight. I can't put these in. I don't have like a system to generate these for me, which I will say really sucks. Tcon tight, tcon tight. Okay. Now, when I generate the testing thing, we'll now have T connections that are tight. Look at that. It's using a lot of them, which changes up the spaces even more. So by adding like different shapes and stuff like that, we're going to have some really cool shit, dude. I think we're going to have some really cool stuff. Also, very interesting thing. I never made a 4-way connection because, well, the 2x5 didn't need a 4-way connection. So what I actually can do now is make a 4-way connection. If in the case we end up doing like anything with 4-way connections. I have no idea if a 4-way connection is going to work. I think it should. I think we've coded everything in such a way where it should work. I think I'm thinking. Might be a big mistake, but I'm thinking. So now we have a 4-way connection. Now we just gotta add a new array element here. And make every value positive because every single side has a doorway. And now we can go back to here and let's see if it spawns any of those in. Are we constrained to a 9x9 grid or can we have 9x18? I think we can technically have anything. It just depends if the computer will explode. The limitations are more so, is this shit optimized or not? I'm not seeing a, oh, there's one. Our first 4 connection. Look at that. Yeah, baby. Cool. That's cool. It would be really cool if we could purposefully delete certain sections so they become empty. That'd be kind of cool. You can have 9 by 18. You can force the player to turn around but progress. Disorienting, but very mazy. So we have backtracking, but I haven't tested it, and it could be very much broken right now. We have a backtracking system which will allow the tile to go backwards in the pathing, but I don't know if it works right now. We haven't tested it yet. Let's see. The problem right now is this damn arrow that debugs where the pathing is going. Not very thick. Yeah, I don't think backtracking works. Oh, no, wait, it does. See, look. Wait. Oh, it doesn't work. Yeah, so I gotta make backtracking work again. It is not working. See, right here, again. Yeah, backtracking, unfortunately, right now, does not work. Add a 0 door large room to the roster so it creates the blank spaces for you. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Wait, hold on. We could do that. I can just add an empty one with no level. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Let's see if that generates more open spaces. I don't think it does. I think it does, actually. Maybe it does. Wouldn't that fail validation, though? No, what it would fail is when it tries to load the level. Because it does not check if the level is valid. But it should be fine to use. This is cool, man. This is cool. I gotta say, I think this is one of the coolest things I've programmed so far. I don't know if the backtracking works. I think in this case it did, but I don't know if it's actually true or not. Yeah, again, here it did not work. So backtracking still needs some work. The thing is, the random generation dungeons, I only need the entrance. I only need the entrance. That's it. And ideally I would have the entrance in the middle, not in the corner. Because right now everything is in the corner. Oh, see, this one backtracked, but then it moved forward again. Because there was no other way to go anywhere. This was like Snake. It just played Snake and accidentally died. Again, here did not work properly. It used to work, but I think since we changed a bunch of stuff, it's not working anymore, so. Here, it's going to go backwards in a path point. Try backtracking. Required path, if it contains current path point, minus does not. Okay. Oh, it's because we didn't assign a required tile. So I think if we're going backwards, this requires x negative to be 1. Okay, backtracking actually should work now. um... It generated itself into nothing. It just happened again. it it literally just did it again. Is that the zero? Is that the zero tile fucking that up? Okay, we're gonna try deleting that for now because I want to make sure that backtracking can work without that potentially being a culprit. We're gonna find out if that's the case or not, though. Although technically it should have removed any potential for that piece being there at all to begin with. I think it was that. I do want to re-implement that though, because I think that'd be cool. I think we just have to fix it so the pathway does not select the empty piece. But we can see that backtracking works. Cool. Yeah, so in the larger spaces, we do have the potential to add in backtracking, which I think is sick. So cool. Yeah! Anyways, stream done. It's like kind of the back rooms. It's kind of back rooms. Good stream. Damn, that took us about... That didn't take... Honestly, for a first time doing procedural generation, I think that only took us about 5 days. Or maybe like a week of work. Metal? Yeah, I think that only took us like maybe like a week of work. Now, it's not perfect by any means, and I'm probably going to fuck around with it a little bit more later today. Maybe after the gym or something, I don't know. Yeah. Cool. I also got to finish Desert Treasure 1 on my Iron Man, so I might do that. Yeah, sorry, Bob. Now, to be fair, you wouldn't see the entire... If you were to look at the VODs on YouTube or on Twitch, you wouldn't see every step of the process because I did do a lot of stuff off stream and over the weekend and stuff like that because I was having a good time with this. I think the procedural generation stuff is fun. As a developer, it's fun. And in the future, can you imagine like when I start bringing in a bunch of pieces and start feeding in this thing with like a bunch of different options? Oh, it's going to be so sick. Also, I'm actually kind of concerned. If I feed this with more options for the array, I have more memory problems because we have more pieces to manage. Oh, well. Yeah, that's whatever. We'll figure it out. Oh. But yeah, we haven't done the entire process on stream. But we did do some stuff. Like we started out like... You guys remember? I think we started the stream with... I think we did do the first process on stream. if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure we did do the first step on stream. And I was like, okay, we need to generate the first room, because I didn't know how to do anything else. Oh, we were working on the status system 6 days ago. So this is actually less than a week. We started this whole process in less than a week. What about this one? This was again, oh my God, we've been doing this stuff for like we started this 4 days ago. Hey, listen. Wait, no, 3 days ago. Wait, I started this on Friday? I did start this on Friday. All right, you guys, you got to give me some props. Listen, for a guy who's never made any sort of procedurally generated system ever in his life, and then being able to come up with this in 3 days. Listen, it might not be the best thing. We might run across some big memory problems once we start adding in more objects and shit in here. But I got to say, for doing this in 3 to 4 days, I think I deserve some props. Can you please start over and do the entire process on stream? We did do a lot of the process, though. Well, not a lot. Some of it. It's a very dumb system, though. Arguably, it's a pretty dumb system. But this was cool, dude. I learned a lot. I expanded my brain a little bit these past few days. My brain has been expanded. The blueprint, yeah, it's hefty. This would definitely, I think, be something I would convert into C++. Just because I have a feeling once we're looping through a lot more rooms, this might get... The more content we feed the system, I think the more laggy it's going to be. That being said, we're basically only looping through strings. That's all it's really needing to do is looping through strings, but it's still looping in Blueprint. The levels are soft object references or soft class references, whichever one. Soft object references. So it's not loading in the levels until the very end. So like that's not a huge problem. But did I read up on how to plan it out, or is this my own creation? So I did some research looking at like wave function collapse and stuff, and kind of like looking at different algorithms, and then I kind of just said I am not even going to try to do my own thing on this. I'm just going to like read some of the ideation or logic behind certain things and then try to come up with my own code for it. Hence why we have all this bullshit where we're like manually checking each direction. I think this would be a point of optimization, is doing this in more of a coded way rather than like doing these big things. And then of course we have the collapse neighbor prototypes, which have to constantly check. Like I'm sure there's probably a better way of doing this, but still very cool. Learned a lot from this, I think, I would say. Refactor when? If the game lags like fucking crazy. But then we have to determine what is causing it to lag, not just randomly optimizing just for the sake of optimizing. And this only needs to like be spawned in at the very beginning of the game anyway, so like I'm not too worried about it, as long as it's not like crashing the game. Hell yeah, Bob. Dude, listen, when you're first starting out, just dive into it and have a good time with it. Yeah, we can metal. We definitely can. We definitely can. Like, we 100% can just have a bunch of variant levels of this. And I probably will. I'll probably have some, like, unique versions that just use this as a base. But it was still cool to do. It was still cool to do. Something we could do as, like, a very easy return is apply the materials that are supposed to be in here. Which are were supposed to be in here, but for some reason they're not in here. The floor is just floor. Can I do this by editing, doing a bulk edit? If they all have the same names in the material, I don't see why I couldn't just set the material on them. Never mind. I guess I got to do it manually. I don't know, but where's the fun in that? Like, I think, yeah, we could just do it manually, but I don't know. I wanted to really learn about, I wanted to learn about this stuff anyways at some point. And honestly, at least the way I implemented it, not that scary. It's not that scary. I think the scary part is going to be optimizing all the meshes in here and stuff. I think that's going to be the real pickle, I think. Tile plane. I don't even think this gets used. Well, it might in the future, actually. Is this one on the grid? Show. I would like to see the grid, please. No, this one's not on the grid. No, we would have to re-import this. You could hit generate 1,000 times to save cool ones and just load a seed. 100%. No, we could still do that. We could do a mix of like the randomly generated ones that are kind of plain, and then the interesting ones. Or we can create some like unique ones that have like broken walls and whatever the hell that we want to do. But I like it because it's random. Like, I feel like as a developer, you kind of get lost in like the things that you're playing. For me, what ended up happening is the levels became very kind of like not exciting anymore because I've already played through every single one of them, right? So I knew every corner, I knew every like area, whatnot. It was still kind of creepy when you see a monster around the corner and you didn't see them previously. But now having the random generation stuff, I think it showed to me that having that level of suspense of not knowing what's around the corner and where to go and whatnot, I think that adds a lot to the experience. So I honestly, even if we don't end up using this, I think I discovered that some of the like big key things that we're gonna need for the game, if that makes sense. Considering that was such a huge, considering that's such a huge, what the hell, man? Click the wall. Okay, you're pulling my leg. Unreal, you're gonna drive me fucking crazy. Okay. It's like clicking it and then not. Are you guys seeing this shit? Okay. All right. Okay, here we go. I have an idea. it like kept deselecting it or something. I don't know what was going on. The ceiling is this material. Where's the ceiling? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I think the interesting part of all of this is the fact that it's just fully random. Like you go into a different space each time. And then once we add the different tile pieces that connect to each other, so then that way we can have completely different sized rooms. I think that'll be awesome too. The only problem is the furnished interiors of these. Might not be very interesting. That's one thing that I'm a little bit concerned about. I do want to make the furnished elements kind of fun and interesting, so I don't know how we're going to do that. That's going to be its own can of worms. What the hell? My Spotify just broke. Okay. So now when we generate, it now has materials. It is like the back rooms. It quite literally is the back rooms. I kind of want to try fucking around with making the big rooms, but I think I might do that off stream. It's literally just modeling it and then feeding it to the thing and then seeing if there's any code that is restricted to different string types other than 0 and 1. Should be fine. Anyways, see you guys tomorrow, I think. I don't think I have anything tomorrow, but we'll see. Yeah, see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, see you guys then. Have a great one. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for lurking, chatting, and sticking around. Good little tangent of doing the whole random generation stuff. Tomorrow we will probably continue on this a little bit. I'm also a little concerned that we get really low FPS. I think that's it, like loading it into memory and then not fully garbage collecting it. Not 100% certain. We'll see what ends up happening, but we'll figure it out. Anyways, see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye. See you then.